Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to another edition of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long II, not the first, not the third. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'scalifornia.com, today'scanada.com. We are live all over the metaverse, all over the universe, all over the Twitterverse. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please feel free to comment on the side. And if you're watching it live on Facebook, please comment right now. If you're watching the replay, please comment. We will also be able to respond to those comments. Now, without any further ado, let me bring in my main man, my co-host with the most, Rudy Ramon Reyes. Rudy, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm having problems finding a button if I'm not looking at it. I'm telling you. I guess that's what age does to you. You keep forgetting where things are, especially when it's in the dark, Barry.
Oh yeah. My man.
Good thing I can find where the restroom is in the dark.
So
I have real problems.
So I woke up this morning and I had to check my temperature. I have one of those little temperature monitors, and I had to check my temperature because I was like, man, I had to make sure I didn't have a fever. But you know what I did? I realized I have Joe Burrow fever, and it is incredible, man. This guy is so incredible. We are going to talk about the AFC Championship. We got a comment already. What up, boys? Julia McCann says, "What up, boys? Glad you're on." Rudy ain't playing with that mic.
No, this mic is legit, and this is where you get the quality audio. The sound is good, the voice is good, but if it wasn't for the mic, you wouldn't be able to pick up on all the goodness. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I love that mic, bro. My mic is I got a couple of mics, but I like this mic. But
if Michael Jackson can create Thriller on it, then I'm sure I can do something with it.
Georgianne Slingerland says, "Hey, hi, love you. We love you too." But yeah, we're going to talk about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. They are headed to the Super Bowl. We are also going to talk about the Rams. They are headed to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is set for 2 weeks from yesterday. We will be there. We'll be on Radio Row. We'll be all over the place, getting as many interviews as we can, working as hard as we can, networking, rubbing shoulders. Hassan Rajput, he says, he says, "Love you. We love you too, man. We appreciate all the comments." He keeps saying love you. Look, he says it 3 different times. That's a lot. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of love. We appreciate that.
That's a lot of love. Yes, namaste.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we will be out there all over Radio Row. We'll be at as many events as we can. We got some appearances set up. We'll be on the Rob Peterson show, so we appreciate all of that. But other than that, we also want to talk about some breaking news. We had breaking news earlier today. Josh McDaniels has been hired as the Raiders head coach. He was the former offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Been there for a few years, a long time, as a matter of fact. He did have a head coaching position before in the Denver Broncos organization. Things really didn't work out that well. Tim Tebow, he took a risk and went out and drafted Tim Tebow as his quarterback. And basically, he got fired after a couple of years, and it just didn't really work out. But now he has a chance with the Raiders organization, and he was at the press conference today with that guy in the middle. Isn't that the worst haircut in sports? Like, what is he thinking, man? What is he thinking?
It's low maintenance. When you own a multi-million-dollar organization such as the Raiders, you got a lot of stuff to deal with, and hair should not be one of them.
Oh my God. I mean, that's a hairstyle. Like, when you go to the barbershop, they usually have like this little map of like different haircuts, and you pick which one you want. People probably walk in and say, "Oh, let me get the Mark Davis." But Mark
I don't remember the last time I was in a barbershop. I can tell you that. He should stay away from barbershops, by the way.
Yes, he should. Or he should get a new barber or something. I don't know what he should do. But Josh McDaniels is there. Josh McDaniels is now their head coach, and they're going to go out and we're wondering who they're going to be tabbing for offensive coordinator. Gus Bradley was a defensive coordinator. Mark Davis, it is reported that Mark Davis would like to retain Gus Bradley, is trying to talk Josh McDaniels into retaining Gus Bradley. However, there are multiple sources that also believe that they are going to tab Don Martindale, who was a former defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, who shockingly was fired this year. After being one of the top defenses the past 3 years, they fell off this year. So he's got a great relationship with Josh Daniels, got a great relationship with Mark Davis. So we have heard that he might be the defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on Josh McDaniels.
When you look at Josh McDaniels and his body of work, along with guys like Tom Brady, he's working the Belichick system. There's a lot of things to like about Josh McDaniels. I don't really necessarily care for the, hair day gone tomorrow. And to no offense, he's got more than his boss. But in all fairness, Josh has really put on a show. He's really been able to orchestrate what Tom Brady had available to him coming out of the draft, being drafted by the New England Patriots. Of course, we've talked about this at length. When you have a guy who didn't necessarily have the greatest combine and, not one of the most athletic guys. I mean, you look at his chest, you wanted to give him a bra. I mean, the guy just looked as though he was the epitome of a quarterback that may not last in the NFL. And of course, when you look at that photo versus what he looks like right now at the age of 45, it makes you wonder, what happened to that guy at the combine. And I think it was just a matter of giving him some Captain America juice and letting him go play ball, which is exactly what happened. Six championships later, when he was sixth there and one in Tampa Bay, certainly speaks to Josh McDaniels' credit as to what kind of system and how to extend and look at Tom Brady's current situation when he was drafted to when he left the Patriots organization. So a lot of feathers in Josh McDaniels' hat. Of course, he can lift up his hands, and he has one for the thumb as well. So a lot of great accolades for Josh McDaniels. Now, don't forget, this is a very unfavorable situation for Derek Carr, and here's why. He has to understand a whole new system. He has to understand a different snap count, different verbiage. He has to be more fleet of foot. That ball has to come out a lot sooner. He has to get slightly better protection up front in order to get that ball out. Of course, we know Derek Carr does have the wheels, but makes the wrong decisions. And we've seen that throughout his career, certainly as we've seen in the divisional or in the playoffs, rather, where, he get thrown into double coverage, and you obviously know what happens when you force balls where they shouldn't be. Yeah. And, certainly a guy who's on his last leg in Las Vegas, 1 year left on his contract. I guess the bigger question is whether or not they're going to retain Derek Carr, use him as trade bait for a team that could certainly use a better quarterback and an upgrade versus what they have. But again, a lot of things to consider when you're talking about the cap situation. The NFL draft is right around the corner in April. So a lot of things to be desired. A lot of conversations need to be had. But this is not looking very favorable for Derek Carr, to be quite honest with you, because he's not the coach's choice for a quarterback. He's not the offensive coordinator's choice for the quarterback. Mark Davis actually inherited him from his brother Al Davis. So a lot of things working against Derek Carr. His resume doesn't speak very highly, to be quite honest with you. Yes, they got him to a point where they put him in position to actually win. Unfortunately, Rick Bisaccia did not have any conversation, almost nearly no conversation at all with the Raiders front office, and easily dismissed over what he had done to help the Raiders get to where they were. I digress. However, he does have an opportunity somewhere in the NFL at becoming a head coach. Still vacancies open. We've seen the Chicago Bears, take their chance at Ryan Poles as their GM, and Uberlock, who now is the head coach, former defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, becoming the guy the Bears need. I think this is a very strong coaching situation. Both guys are on the same page between the GM and the head coach, which is where it should be if you're talking about a very successful NFL organization. Still nothing heard about what happens or what could potentially happen with Eric Bieniemy, and certainly a guy who deserves an opportunity to be a head coach somewhere. Bigger question is where.
And the thing about Rich Bisaccia is he did well with this team. He got them to 10 wins at the end of the season, by the end of the season. So you thought that maybe they would retain Rich Bisaccia, but he did not. Mark Davis decided to go in a different direction. But Rich Bisaccia, like you mentioned, he does have opportunities, and he should be tapped for a head coach somewhere, because that brief time that he was the head coach of the Raiders, they did well. And he has been rumored to maybe be potentially interviewed in Jacksonville as well. So they haven't officially gone with Byron Leftwich in Jacksonville, but he is definitely going to get an interview before they make a decision. So Rich Bisaccia is trying hard to get a head coaching job somewhere. But we know that he can be the special teams coordinator somewhere. I know a place in Green Bay that they need a special teams coordinator if he does not get a head coach.
Packers could easily hire me, and I'll be their special teams coordinator because they were really horrible this past year.
Now, real quick, we got a comment. We got a bunch of comments today. We got Gene McKay says, "You are both so great. I'm really not a sports fan, but you guys are so much fun and as well as educational." We appreciate that so much, Gene McKay. And
Thank
Bill
you.
Stinso, one of our favorite guys, is out there tuning in. He says, "Hi, Barry."
You're the man.
Now, let's talk about this AFC Championship yesterday because this was a fun game to watch, from the second half on, really. Because at the beginning of the game, it seemed like it was going to be all Chiefs all day. They came in hard. They came out swinging. They jumped out to a 21-3 lead, and they really could have pushed it to 24-3 had they kicked the field goal at the last play of the fourth quarter, or the last play of halftime. The last play of the second quarter. So they elected to try to go for the touchdown. They ended up not getting it. Tyreek Hill didn't get in the end zone, and it ended up being 21-10 at the half. And Joe Burrow walked out of that tunnel after that halftime speech like he was getting ready to come back. He had a swagger and a confidence about himself. And we saw the Bengals switched up their defensive scheme a little bit. They were running a lot of zone earlier on the game, and they were rushing a little bit more than three guys. They ended up switching it up, just a three-man rush the second half. They dropped in. They had man coverage. They had a spy on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes seemed flustered in the second half. The Chiefs did not score a single point until later on in the game. 3 points is all they got in the second half. And the Bengals went on to defeat these Chiefs 27-24 in shockingly fashion. What were your thoughts on this game, man?
There was a lot of things that I really liked about Kansas City coming out of the tunnel. Again, Mahomes is a guy who can make things happen at a snap of a finger, literally, or a snap of the football from right under center. One thing about Patrick Mahomes is that he's been there, done that. He's done this before. This is where he has been. This is his stage. Unfortunately, it didn't look like that when you look at halftime. And the fact alone that the man with the hair on fire was Joe Burrow. As cool as he is, he's the man with the hair on fire coming out of the tunnel with some type of halftime speech. Maybe he sat on a cooler filled with ice. I don't really know, but he got out of that tunnel, making completion after completion. They mixed up the run, they mixed up the pass. Now, oddly enough, when you look back at the run pass selection between what Kansas City did and Cincinnati Bengals, they were basically identical in run pass ratio, which is very interesting. And when you talk about a three-man rush, Kansas City did absolutely nothing in the second half with that three-man rush. You would have seen Patrick Mahomes take off for a 35-yard scamper like it was nothing. You blink of an eye, and all of a sudden he's in the red zone or near the red zone. There was nothing at all whatsoever about Kansas City that I enjoyed in the second half. It was like
I thought they should have ran the ball more. What do you think?
I really think that play action could have been even that much of a weapon. I mean, and they're loaded. They have Hilaire. They have, Travis Kelce.
Jerry McKinnon.
Too. They have, Jerry McKinnon. Jerry McKinnon should have been used a lot more, especially in that running game. He wasn't utilized in the second half as much as he should have been. They weren't blitzing as much on Joe Burrow. Yeah, they had a couple of sacks on him, but that was in the first half. Second half, not so much. He basically was able to dissect the defense. He took what the defense gave him, and he just basically threw it down their throat near the end of the game, and that's why you had this overtime winner, 27-24. Everybody wants to talk about the overtime rules. Are you hating overtime right about now during this game? Seriously? Who's going to call heads? Who's going to call tails? Come on now. This has to be a point. There has to be a point where enough is enough. Look, I understand the overtime rules may be good for some, bad for others, but at the end of the day, if you have the ball, you do not even attempt to score. Which Kansas City did not do, and you turn the ball over, as we've seen what actually happened.
Yeah, in that overtime.
Get the passing lanes. In overtime, you give them an opportunity. You have to capitalize on that opportunity. They did not. Patrick Mahomes turned it over. He claimed it was on me. He walked out. He says, okay, well, here comes the defense. They better show up. But we know McPherson's jerseys sold out.
Yeah, it really is.
Nowhere to be found. It's sold out. The Pro Shop, the NFL.com is probably making plenty of them.
I'm sure they didn't have a lot printed up before the last couple of weeks, but now they got
it. Was. I had no clue. McPherson, are you thinking of MacGyver or something?
And McPherson He's been flawless, man. He's been flawless. What he's 12 or 12 or 13 or 13 overall in the playoffs right now. He's just been fantastic, phenomenal. He's a rookie. Joe Burrow ran out on the field and actually kissed him on the forehead. That's why I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is just a stud. He's got so much swagger. He just has so much self-awareness, and he just feels like I should be here. Why not me? So we saw, in that overtime, Joe Burrow was able to engineer that drive that got them into position to kick that field goal. But Joe Mixon, who had a rough first half, it was rough. It was hard to get off that running game early in the game. But for some reason, and later on in the game, when those defenses get tired, those 2-3 yard run plays in the beginning of the game, they turn into 7-8 yard chunk plays, and that's what we saw in overtime. And he really stepped up in overtime. But my question to you now, Rudy, is: did the Bengals win that game, or did the Chiefs blow it? Because a lot of people are saying it felt like after watching that game that the Chiefs they blew it. And if you look at it, if they would have kicked that 3 points before halftime, then we'd be looking at going into then theoretically, okay, I know the game might play out differently, but theoretically, they're up by 3 points. So we don't go to overtime. Theoretically, they win the game before overtime. So did they blow it, because I believe they blew it, or did the Bengals just go out and win it?
I'll be honest with you. That interception convinced me that they are out to win this game. Right after that interception, putting them in
you talking about from Von Bell?
Absolutely. Bell just stepped in the lane. It was a bounce off of the receiver. He caught the ball. He says, well, I may not have to take it very far, but he did. He ultimately picked that ball off, fell in his hands. I don't know if you want to call it luck or maybe a rabbit's foot or maybe a 4-leaf clover. I mean, whatever you want to call it. He was in the right place at the right time, which most of the time players that want to make history, that want to put a stamp on NFL lore, need to be right there, need to jump in the lane, need to interfere with the ball in some manner or another. And sure enough, he came up with the ball, put it in field position for McPherson to kick it. And there's your game winner right there, 27-24. I mean, it's not as if the Chiefs did anything majorly explosive in the second half anyway. They weren't on that kind of tear. They weren't scoring 7 after 7 after 7 after 7. This was, well, we got to punt. We got to punt. We got a punt. It was just a bunch of punts and then the interception. So I think it was more about Kansas City running out of steam. Eric Reed, not Eric Reed, but the other Reed, his brother, ultimately was outcoached, outplayed, outorganized, and ultimately these guys on defense were gassed.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes looked shook in that second half. He supposedly is one of the best, most calmest quarterbacks in the league during these pressure-filled moments. I believe that they said that his heart rate, they had a heart rate test on him for the last couple of weeks, and his heart rate is actually beating and fluttering harder when he's on the sideline. But when he steps onto that field, the heartbeat subsides. So he is really a guy that you would not expect to be out there seeing ghosts, not wanting to throw guys open. He was literally waiting for somebody to be wide open. He was doing too much in the pocket, running back and forth. I know a couple of times when he makes those spectacular plays where he goes backwards and goes forwards and goes around, and then he finally flips it up and finds somebody wide open. It looks beautiful, but it looks terrible when he's out there and there's nobody open, and he played absolutely like garbage. And he was, to his credit, he was very he basically took responsibility for the loss. He's very contrite at the press conference, and he said we'll be back. But the Chiefs did have a great season. They started off 2-4. Everybody wrote them off, said that they would not make it this year to the playoffs even, and they came a long way. So Chiefs fans have nothing to be concerned about. They're moving forward. I think that they'll learn from this, and this will be just another AFC championship that they'll be involved in, because I expect them to be back for many more. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'scalifornia.com. We are also on today'scanada.com. We got somebody that is shouting us out saying, I'm not really sure what Roberto's saying there, but we appreciate the comment, Roberto. Please keep commenting.
Roberto. We appreciate it. That's definitely a long one, but thank you for that.
I don't know if that's an address. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. You didn't start off with HTTP, so I guess we're
okay. So we also had an NFC championship yesterday, and SoFi was rocking. I had a few neighbors that went to the game, And they said it was exciting. Even though they're 49ers fans, they still had a good time. The 49ers ended up not being able to defeat the Rams. Now, we know that the Rams had lost to the 49ers for 6 straight times going into this game. So it was going to be rough for Sean McVay to get that Kyle Shanahan monkey off his back, so to speak. So they came out and they were down by 10. Matthew Stafford engineered a comeback. And if you go back and look at Matthew Stafford's numbers, he is the number one since he's been in the league. He's the number one guy for fourth quarter comebacks. So he leads the league in that since the time he's entered the league. So he engineers yet another another comeback. The 49ers could not possess the ball in that last drive. They ended up having a turnover, and they ended up giving the ball back to the Rams. Matthew Stafford came out, got them down the field again. They were in position for a Matthew Gay field goal, which they got 20-17. Then Jimmy Garoppolo gets the ball back. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like trash in that last drive and ends up getting sacked, throws the interception that ends the game. And now the 49ers are at home on the couch, and the Rams are headed to the Super Bowl. How does that make you feel, Rudy?
I don't have a dog in the fight. I remember when Super Bowl 10 was around, where the LA Rams face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this initially looked like a Rams Super Bowl, like they were going to run away with this game. Not the case against the 49ers. That last game ending, and I'm going to say game ending, maybe 49er ending position at quarterback for Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, I would think so. I think certainly other teams would be very interested in a guy who can complete more than he actually throws interceptions. So, but the ones that he throws, again, make you scratch your head, like a Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr. Lots of other guys fit that bill of throwing balls where they don't need to, when they don't need to, and obviously to what? The wrong person. And, the other guy was wide open, but that's not the guy you want to throw the ball to. You want to throw the ball to the guy who's open, who's playing on your team, overthrew Ayuk. And sure enough, that landed in somebody else's hand. Overall, I think that the 49ers played absolutely fantastic ball. I mean, they were balling out. They were getting stops. They were getting all the pressures on Matthew Stafford. There were some close calls for Matthew Stafford, a couple sacks as well. So it's not as if this 49ers team is at all of a loss in regards to defensive play. Again, Robert Saleh left. He went over to take over for the New York Jets. Lord knows that organization needs some help. And, of course, I don't know if Robert Saleh is the guy there because of, the organization. Some organizations keep their head coach's hands kind of tied up where they're the ones who make the decisions, and they're on the hush-hush situation where they have no say whatsoever. But this 49ers defense didn't really skip any beats whatsoever. They looked really, really good throughout the entire game, even during third and long situations where they had to send DBs back, corners in the back, forcing incompletions or forcing very, very small throws, 5-6 yard dinks and dunks and things of that nature. So they did their job effectively. The problem that I have is when you look at Kyle Shanahan, I think he put too much faith in Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo put too much on himself, trying to force something that was not there. We've seen Patrick Mahomes do it, as we just spoke about during the AFC Championship game. There's a lot of things that I like about this Niners team moving forward. Jimmy Garoppolo, not so much. So it's a bigger question whether or not when you go into the offseason, who is your guy? Well, we know that Jimmy Garoppolo ultimately was there, not necessarily Kyle Shanahan's guy, but they're going to be looking at the NFL draft and get a lower tier guy to help make up for the loss of Jimmy Garoppolo in free agency. And to talk about the game a little bit further, when you look at this number one overall pick, right? When we think of Peyton Manning, we think of Cam Newton in 2016. Joe Burrow and company traveled to Los Angeles. Now, the Bengals are going to be the home team in this matchup, whereas the actual home team, the Rams, who are in their own backyard, whose practice field is probably 5 to 7 miles up the street, are the away team. I don't know how that figures, but it is what it is. It's going to be a great game. There's no doubt about it. We're going to be there to cover it for sure. And it's going to start off on Super Bowl week. Barry's going to be there. I'm going to follow him up. Of course, you can check out all of our great stuff on the RudeDogShow.com, but we'll post accordingly as that comes.
And we'll be doing this show live from there too. So
we'll be also doing the show live from there. So it's going to be a very cool time. Everybody just needs to tune in. We're going to have some surprise guests as well. We're going to make some appearances. We're going to have some conversations, networking with some former current and who knows, maybe some future NFL players along with some stars, because it is LA, and
Yeah,
when it's
everybody's
LA,
gonna
the
be out there.
stars come out. Don't be surprised if I get Magic Johnson on the mic. Let's see what he has to say. Of course, he loves LA, so he's probably going to go for the Rams. I'm sure of that. But one thing that I do know about the Rams is that this is a long time coming. A long time coming for the Rams.
Absolutely.
They have beefed up for this. They got rid of Jared Goff in the offseason because Jared Goff just seemingly not that guy. He didn't have that edge. He didn't have the esque to him that allowed for him to do the things that Stafford has been able to do throughout the season. Yeah, Stafford's kind of had a tumultuous season early on, but I think once McVay and him got on the same page and say, hey, look, this is where we're at. This is what we need to do. This is how we get it done. And we're going to get it done, and we're going to go to the Super Bowl. So it's really about the mentality. If anybody's ever been to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, it's probably one of the nicest stadiums out there.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
and you're right.
Like you said, it's going to be fun. It's going to be.
And
fun.
You're right. It has been a long time coming for these Rams, and they went all in this season. They went all in by going out and drafting or going out and trading for Matthew Stafford. They went out and got Von Miller. They went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. And those are great redemption stories. Those are really great redemption stories, and it's going to be. There's going to be, especially Odell, man, a guy who hadn't had a touchdown in over a year. His first 10 games with his team, he got 6 touchdowns, and they utilize him right. Sean McVay, he was utilized a lot more yesterday than he has been in most games, and that's because he's building that trust, with Matthew Stafford, and he steps up in the right moments. And he had over 100 yards yesterday, 113 yards, as well as Cooper Kupp having 142 yards. But Odell Beckham, especially in red zone situations, Sean McVay understands that, in order to keep this guy happy and not yelling on the sidelines, first of all, we got to win, because I believe Odell Beckham Jr. just really wants to win. It's not really about the touches all the time. But he does get him enough touches in the red zone to keep him, keep his spirits up, keep his morale up. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch all these guys, come together. And it's going to be fun, man. It really is going to be a fun Super Bowl week. We'll be out there all Super Bowl week. We got a comment from Naomi Vec. She says, hello. Got the stars in our eyes. We appreciate that. We are live on todayscalifornia.com and todayscanada.com. He is Rudy Reyes. I am Barry Long II. Now, real quick, you alluded to a little earlier about Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo has 1 year left on his deal, but the rumors are that they are getting ready to release trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's not going to take that much to get Jimmy Garoppolo. His deal is only $25 million left for next year. 1 year left on that deal. That he signed a few years back. And there are rumors that your Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, which would only take, they're saying, about a second or third round pick in this coming year's draft. But Jimmy Garoppolo, there's some people that are 49ers fans that believe that he's the guy. They should keep him because he has won a lot of games. They're not always pretty, but he's won a lot of games. As a matter of fact, 75% of the games that Kyle Shanahan has won have been with Jimmy Garoppolo. So Jimmy Garoppolo has had some success. It's just not the same type of success as when you see Tom Brady. It just doesn't look that good. And Jimmy Garoppolo has struggled in certain games. They've even won playoff games despite Jimmy Garoppolo. They threw the ball only 11 times a couple years ago, 8 times one game. So he has a very limited skill set, I guess, so to speak. But a lot of people are thinking that he should move on. A lot of people are thinking, or the 49ers should move on. A lot of people are thinking that they should stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. What are your thoughts? Because I'm not ready to say that Trey Lance is that guy. I don't think Trey Lance is ready for next year. I think if the 49ers want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo for another year, then that would be the smartest decision. And then let him go in free agency the year after, because you give the kid Trey Lance another year to develop and another year to be under the tutelage of Kyle Shanahan. What do you think?
I look at Trey Lance and I think to myself, man, that guy has the moxie. He does. He has a football IQ. They didn't draft him out of SDSU because he's tall and he's mixed class, or had absolutely nothing to do with that decision-making process to draft a guy like Trey Lance. Now, he's had enough time to sit behind the bench. He's had enough time in the classroom. He's had enough time during even regular season games where he had to be the starter, quarterback by committee. We've heard that many, many times before, but it's true. He's had the reps. He's had the time. He's had the ability to stand behind Jimmy Garoppolo and recognize not what to do, right? It's not what you do, it's what not to do. And he certainly knows what not to do. So I think it's about time to put this guy in to see what he has during the offseason, find out what he's really made of, test his mental IQ, and hopefully that mental IQ has a lot to do with not throwing balls where his actual receivers can not get the ball and throw it into somebody else's hands. There's a lot of things that go into deciding whether or not a quarterback is going to stay in the NFL or stay with your team for that matter. It has a lot to do with a variety of things. It has to do with likability. Nobody wants to talk about that, but it's true. Jimmy Garoppolo is a very likable guy. Could I see him in a Superman episode, filling in for a Superman who's got the flu or something? Maybe so.
That's perfect.
Maybe,
I never thought about that. He's like a better looking Superman.
He's got the chin. He's younger.
Oh, man.
Does he know how to
got the
act?
5 o'clock
shadow?
Know. Yeah.
He's got a little eyeshadow. Put on the suit. We'll come back with a gift and see what he looks like as a Superman. But be quite honest with you, he's not Superman in the 49ers red and gold. I'm just saying.
He's Clark Kent.
he's always going to be Clark Kent because somehow along the way you can win any amount of rings, but if you're not the guy, you're not the starter, and you don't win those rings and somebody else does, well, you're just a runner-up. Nobody is going to remember number 2. Unless it's the wrong kind of number 2, and I think we know where we're going with that. But at the end of the day, when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think to myself, this guy deserves to be somewhere else. Now, the Steelers are obviously in search of a quarterback. There's no doubt about that. Dan Rooney went on record stating he believes that the quarterback of the future is on the Steelers roster already. I say no. I say, do some trade work with Josh Dobbs. See what you can get for him. Love the guy, nice guy. It's his second stint in Pittsburgh. Hasn't seen hardly any day whatsoever. Or maybe just send him over as a backup to Trey Lance.
So you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo? You don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. You're a Steelers fan. You don't want Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback?
No, I want to see. First of all,
this guy was loved. This guy was loved by Bill Belichick. Okay, Bill Belichick was pissed off. We'll have a controllervalley.com. he was angry. He was angry at the fact that Robert Kraft, shipped him out of town and retained Tom Brady. And Kyle Shanahan didn't want him. I mean, Kyle Shanahan probably wanted somebody a little bit better, but when he was able to get Jimmy Garoppolo, he went out and grabbed him. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, is he really that bad?
It's not that he's that bad.
He's better than Haskins. He's better than Mason Rudolph.
He has won a ring. Now, we can have the same conversation about Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has won a ring. After that, what happened? Nothingville, USA. What happened after Jimmy Garoppolo won a ring? Also in the same city of Nothingville, USA. So you can't convince me that because you won a Super Bowl title that all of a sudden you can do that in another team under another system, because clearly it didn't happen for either one of those guys. So could Jimmy Garoppolo find himself in black and gold? Maybe not. Depends on the asking price, depends on what the Steelers want to pay and what they want to offer. If they believe that they have the quarterback of the future on that Steelers roster currently, they're going to do absolutely nothing. Steelers don't predominantly do free agency moves, especially for quarterbacks in the offseason.
Yeah,
in the draft, that's a whole nother story.
We've seen the Steelers, they have been apprehensive about going out and getting free agents, the top free agents. They really do like to just grow from within.
It's time to break the mold. I think it's time to break the mold. I think Steelers need to dive deep into free agency. You got Joe Hayden departing in the cornerback position. You have some aged guys up front. You go into free agency. You grab some guys like maybe the Honey Badger and pay him a little X, Y, and Z and ABC. You have a lot of guys out there in the free agency market. Get to 1-year deals done, 1-year wonders. See what they can do in the Steelers system. Don't forget, Steelers no longer have Keith Butler as their defensive coordinator, so you obviously have to hire a coordinator, hire a new coordinator, go into free agency, dive in your bag of tricks, and get some 1-year wonders and see what happens.
Yeah,
it's only 1 year. It's 1 year. You had 1 year to give Ben Roethlisberger the opportunity to win another title. He didn't. He threw the ball away. Over, under, short. Take your pick.
So we could potentially see. I mean, the fact that the Steelers are being rumored to be interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. That means that they can be interested in the other quarterbacks that are out there, maybe possibly on the trade block. So we might end up seeing the Steelers make a splash. Like hopefully they can make a splash, because it's going to be hard to replace number 7. But if they were able to make a splash, they might go out and get a guy like Deshaun Watson. If that stuff was cleared up, they might go out and get Aaron Rodgers.
No,
Aaron Rodgers, you don't think so?
Want him. Steelers don't want Deshaun Watson. They're not going to touch Aaron Rodgers.
Would they touch Russell Wilson?
That could be possible.
Okay.
That could be possible because Russell Wilson has no character issues. He has no problems off the field. His name's out of the news. He's a grown man. He's got kids, a wife, Sierra. He lives in Seattle.
He got
Sierra. I'm just saying. He has all the weapons surrounding him. The only thing that he has not had was
DK
a great offensive line and DK Metcalf. But don't forget, if for some reason the Steelers retain Juju Smith-Schuster, that could be the DK Metcalf in the black and gold. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's a comparable there, because there isn't. But at the end of the day,
DK is he's special.
DK's a beast.
Yeah, he really
no
is.
doubt about it. He's no Juju Smith-Schuster, I can tell you that right now. But when you look at the 49ers, I think they'll dig into the draft. I don't believe they're going to go into free agency to get a quarterback. I think the 49ers have to really look at themselves hard in the mirror and ask themselves some really tough questions. Where do they go? Where do these teams themselves in the future? And what can they do to bring another ring to San Francisco to tie the Steelers and Patriots for
Absolutely.
6 Lombardi? So there's, again, a lot of questions. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of answers, at least till the offseason. There could be some personnel decisions as well that need to be made in the coaching ranks there. And I don't mean Kyle Shanahan. Kyle's not going anywhere at all.
I love
for
Kyle Shanahan.
quite some time. But, I mean, to talk about the Rams for a little bit more, Stanford and Cup got it done. Robbie Gould hit the game winner.
Matt Gay
did. He hit the game winner. Both great kickers.
Robbie Gould hit the game winner. Robbie Gould hit
he did what he did. He did. He absolutely did. He hit the game winner against the
Chiefs.
Yeah, against the Chiefs. So these guys are very comparable athletically. They're able to kick the ball. They're able to get it down the field.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Robbie Gould is the quarterback, the kicker for the
he's the kicker for the 49ers.
He beat the Packers with the game winner.
Okay, yeah, close enough. But both teams no longer in contention. I can tell you that right now. But I mean, look, they still have Debo, but you can't say enough about Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford.
Yes,
and that defense between Von Miller and Aaron Donald, they're both going. I mean, if they're happy to have both guys on the defense, it's got to be Aaron Donald and Von Miller. And right now, these guys are headed to the Super Bowl, playing in their own backyard as the away team. So that's still very, very interesting. I don't know how they figured that out.
And we're going to break down the Super Bowl.
The coin.
And we're going to break down the Super Bowl more as the week goes on, especially that week that we're out there. It's going to be an exciting week. But yeah, man, the Rams, just an incredible story. They're probably going to be favored in this Super Bowl. I haven't seen the line yet, but we will definitely break that down to see who's favored in that Super Bowl. But I would suggest out the gate that it would be the Rams. Just because of, all the weapons and the firepower that they have. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, what a great connection between those two guys. You got the guy who won the Triple Crown. You've got, all the stories of, they brought in Jalen Ramsey a couple years ago. Now they've got in Von Miller. They've got in, Odell Beckham Jr. So it's going to be a star-studded. Eric Weddle. I am so happy for Eric Weddle.
Old man Weddle.
Yeah, old man Weddle.
Weddle some wood. That's right.
Yeah. We'll definitely be able to get Eric Weddle on for an interview. We'll definitely be able to stop him. But yeah, man. Exactly. And then on the other side, Joe Burrow, Joe Cool. They got some smoking Joe, always smoking a cigar after a win. Just so cool walking in with his sunglasses and the fight and this team has in them. Although we are both AFC North fans. I'm a Ravens fan. You are a Steelers fan, obviously. You just got to love Joe Burrow and the Bengals and their story and just the fact that they were not even expected to be in the playoffs this year at the beginning of the season, and for them to just keep winning game after game after game, and now they're finally in the Super Bowl. This is a great storyline for both teams, and I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. You have people likes of Jarvis Landry basically giving Odell, saying, "Congratulations, brother. The story of you starting is amazing to watch. Hashtag get that ring at OBJ. Hashtag example. And of course, the king, LeBron James at OBJ, going to the Super Bowl. Did you all see the game he just had? Earned, not given. There's a lot of things you could say about Odell Beckham Jr. Not a fan of his initially, especially when he landed on that Cleveland Browns roster, kicking the goalpost had come back to kick him in the head. But, he certainly has, he has grown, he has matured, he's evolved into the player that the Rams obviously did need. I don't think that they knew that they need him until they knew that they needed him. And the minute he got on the field, he was able to make those difference-making catches the way that he needed to, the way that he should have. And I think that this is just fitting for him.
Absolutely. All right. So, we are going. Maria Lascuna, she says, wonderful show, guys. Bill Senso said, that's great. Rudy's talking about your comment on Jimmy Garoppolo looking like Superman. We have an announcement to make that we will be moving to an hour on Wednesday. We ran over a little late today, but we are moving over an hour on Wednesday. Thank you to Craig Campbell for the platform. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Rudy, let them know where they can find you at real quick, man.
Yeah, you can go to Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. If Twitter's not your thing, you can go to Facebook.
Did you just say thing?
Thing. If you're not your thing, the Super Bowl ain't your thing if I'm not your thing. So go do that thing. Like it, love it, leave it. Always share it because we really love that stuff.
We do.
You can go to therudedogshow.com. Lots of great content, interviews, conversations, you name it, it's there.
And you can find me at Twitter at Radio Barry Long, on IG at Barry Long _2, and on Facebook at Barry Long _II, the way it is written right there. Stay focused, guys. Stay motivated. Stay inspired. And remember, you're capable of doing anything. We are going to be breaking down the Super Bowl and diving more deep in it tomorrow. We'll see you then. Peace.